let's talk about localization as well. I think Natalia also, when she was talking about, search engine and how she's basically solving. So we also we do some guesstimates here to understand what people would be searching for without the data, right? So there also we are optimizing for the localization, right? So in localization, well, when I was working for Omeo or Trivago before that, or other brands when I'm consulting now. So I was also working with, by the way, Glovo, which is a huge brand. They're headquartered in Barcelona, right? So massive company, like getting millions of sessions every month, right? So they're like understanding their users, which is like in everywhere, like different countries, and their search pattern and how they interact with the content that varies a lot, right? So now let's talk about what are the strangest pattern you have seen. So one, of course, I mean, for example, if we talk about Switzerland, right? So I heard about a pattern where this company called Zalando, which is the biggest fashion commerce here in Germany, right? So someone who was leading SEO for them, he told me that in Switzerland, people like buy stuff and they rarely basically return, even if the size is not fitting them and all of that, right? Because they have a lot of money, right? They're like, oh, it's just 30 euros, it's just 40 euros. I would not invest 20 minutes going to the post office and then return it, right? So that is like not exactly search pattern, but I think in general engagement and your shopping experience pattern, right? So now let's just talk about SEO pattern, right? So is there anything which is very different than other markets that you have witnessed in Switzerland, for example, or in in other markets as well?
Yeah, in Switzerland, it's really fascinating because in Austria, you could say everything that's working in Germany works more or less in Austria as well, because we have the same money, it's euros. Everything will cross the border. But when I moved to Switzerland, I found out that I search different now that I'm here. I'm actually going to the SERPs and I'm looking at the URL and look if it is a .ch, because you need to think about, can I pay in Swiss francs? Will it cross the border? Because there is custom here. So I really need to think, will I get, or will they, because a lot of pages that you have in Germany have just, or shops have written there like, or nothing, or say like the custom is on the user. And you're just like, yeah, well, nice surprise. So I prefer ordering something here. Then they have, also the Swiss are really local, thinking really like they want to buy from Switzerland. I heard someone telling me I shouldn't eat more meat outside of Switzerland because it will get me sick. And I'm just like, I was eating all my life meat from Austria because I just moved here, so I don't think so. But they really have a strong local focus. Also, I think also of this, because it's really strange if you have a bank here and you pay something, even if it's not a shop or something, if it's a course or something outside of Switzerland, they will always add 1.5%. Every bank. I was looking at every bank because I was really pissed after seeing that they charge me for everything more. But you have that and people know it. And I think that's really a big issue. And for example, you have, did you know that you don't have Amazon in Switzerland?
No.
If you want to buy something from Amazon in Switzerland, they were just like, yeah, well, you speak languages from the countries around, so I order an Amazon.de. If you're from the French part, you have to order from .fr. If you're from the Italian, .it. And the problem is the sending stuff back, for example, is really a pain in the ass. My boyfriend was doing it for something that he ordered in French, and it took 4 weeks that he could actually send it back because it came broken. And it was just really horrible. And we were just like, well, never ever ordering here again. And maybe better .de and to my parents' place. And the Swiss said, like, you can't pay in francs on Amazon. I still need to try it because I'm just paying in my Austrian account. But it's like, they are really like, no, we don't go shop there. They have another one. They have Galaxus. And they order everything on Galaxus because it's local and they know it will arrive. It's fast. I can pay with francs and everything. So that's really something you need to consider in markets like this that don't have, like, they are not really EU, they are Schengen, but still it's different.
Got it. So it's not only the deeper pockets why Swiss people do not return. It's also the complication.
No. actually Swiss are really strange when it comes to money.
Mhm.
Like you
tell
earn
me.
more, and
Yeah.
you with your flat already. You said when I
Mhm.
had to do the first transfer for my flat, it was just like I've never spent in one day that much money. And then it comes like, what? You have ChatGPT Pro, but that's fucking expensive. And I'm just like, you're going to eat out for lunch, more expensive than ChatGPT subscription. But they're like, no, I will not get a ChatGPT subscription Pro. That's just too expensive. And I was like, that's nothing. You're working half an hour for that. So, but they have a really strange relationship with money. So it's sometimes I don't think it's just they not really spending a lot. I mean, there are some, but they are really like protecting their money here. It's really. So I don't think it's just because they say like, no, it's not worth the effort. Maybe they just think, no, it will never arrive in Germany and I will never get my money back. So why? Maybe I just wear it 2 sizes too small, or just give it away.
Yeah, that's cool. And yes, I heard about this association that, Swiss people are, like you mentioned, about local, right? So everything which is made in Switzerland, they're crazy about it, right? And they're very skeptical about, buying anything which is not made in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And I've seen this association here in Germany as well. So Germans are also, I think, very particular about made in Germany, right? Because of quality and all of that. And yeah, there are some other countries, for example, Norway as well. I heard like, these countries, people are very, very like kind of promoting the local brands, or they have some association that, okay, it's made in our country, we're proud of it. So this is very interesting for me, and especially for someone like me who was born and raised in India. So we were always excited about things which were not made in India. We were like, hey, it's international, right? So we were always excited about things which we were getting from Germany, from other countries, right? And here it's not.
Poland the same. Made in Germany more important than made in Poland.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in fact, I remember like my childhood days. My parents used to take me to these custom shops, right, where you get stuff from outside India, and we used to be very excited. And my dad would used to say, "Hey, this chocolate comes from Switzerland." I was like, "Yes, I want it. This is my dream, my biggest ever." Right? It was that kind of craze. And now, after coming here, no, it's not made in Germany. It's made in, for example, Spain. So we would take something which is made in Germany, even though it's 2x the price. So I'm like, okay, yeah. But now I understand as well, like, why they have this pattern. And yeah, I think I have like heard a lot of stories about Switzerland, which is, I think, 10x more craze than what we have here in Germany.
Yeah.
So Dani mentioned about bank, right? So yeah, I heard a lot about that as well. Like people, when they are coming on a website, they want to see pricing in their own currency. They want to see payment gateway integration of the banks that they're using day in, day out, right? So they want to see everything which is more localized, right? Even colors, right? Even the choice of words that you have on the other landing pages, right? They want to see something which you're able to connect with them, so that they feel, yeah, it's meant for me, right? So yeah, Natalia, do you have any experiences with something which is extreme of localization? Maybe two closer countries think completely differently, or two things which are very similar but very different.
Yeah, so I work with one brand which is in the industrial sector, very B2B, very specific, huge machine parts for factories of all sorts. So you'd think very boring and grim, but actually fascinating, because they are the second company in the world. They're a Japanese origin, and the first company has got like 60% of the market, and the second has got 35%, and then the small players are trying to steal the 5-10% market share. So it's really, really dense space. And they have a separate website for the US, built completely on a different technology and designed differently, even though the branding is the same, and different one for Europe on the EU domain. And I find it fascinating because they decided very early on they need different marketing approaches completely, and they will have 2 different teams responsible for their own websites instead of people bickering about, how to make it done and how to design it. And they even went for different technologies. So one of them is Sitecore, and one of them was something completely else, which I don't even know what it was. And I found it fascinating how on the organization level, they understood very early on, if we're expanding globally, we have to take different approaches. Now the EU one has been also added to be Latin America. So even though we have EU domain, they have some Latin American countries inside it, because they felt like culturally it felt more close to that website, that design, that localization than the other one. And to be fair, it's working for them. So you'd think EU domain might get only benefit in Europe, but the truth is, those kind of special domains, they're not localized in geographical way. So they are still having the visibility in the respective Latin American markets. And the tricky part is always the languages that are not written in Latin, because your design is just off. So anything they're doing in Japanese or Chinese is just completely designed on a different website as well, completely different measures in place. So I would say the extreme cases are always when the alphabet is different. And then you have to totally rethink how you do things, because that one small short button that is a call to action might not work in the language that you're not accepting. So yeah, so I think that's like the extreme case. And maybe a different example I have is always how different countries use different forms to address the user. Spain is tú, which is the direct one, with you, which is same as English. You just speak directly to a person, no matter their age or their status. While Latin America is usted, which is the third form, which is the polite form. So it's also interesting how language already informs the way how proximate you are with your audience. And I think localization really has to understand if it's Spanish from Latin America or from Spain to adjust to that messaging. Because you can't do both. You can't speak to people in a third form clearly suggesting it's Latin America and then expect Spanish users to read it and think it's related to them. So yeah, I'd say there are those language aspects that really, really make a difference.
Super cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, Dani.
Really interesting case with that. They really got the design different. I have, GetResponse, the email marketing tool. I'm working with them to write some articles for their blog, and I'm really, really fascinated. The .de is completely separated from everything else. So they have their own German SEO I think they're in Berlin, and I have my own contact, and even the keyword research and the things we write are not the same than in the US. I'd never get like, here is the English post, can you please just translate it or something. It's really like, here is the topic, are you interested in that? And then I write a completely separate article that nobody would write like this, because it's my input as well. And I really love that they really motivate as well to say, like, because I get a lot of my knowledge from my newsletter in there and how I'm doing it and tips I would give that maybe another person wouldn't give, and they really appreciate that. So it's really not just localized, but also on the person and everything. And I really like their concept that it's completely, I think they don't even talk to the English speaking part of their company. It's really localized.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a perfect autonomy to, work with any brand based, given country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super stuff.